Hey guys, welcome to Waifu Watch. I am Annie, this is Mana, this is Shelby, this is Danielle, and this is Jack. Today we are going to be discussing Japanese folklore and supernatural spooky things.
Yes.
Halloween.
Calm down, Jack. Calm down.
Getting close.
We are getting close.
Couple weeks.
So today, I thought I would go over some urban legends, some vocabulary, tell you guys a scary story that is from my Japanese scary storybook.
Ooh.
And we could also discuss a couple of questions that I have for you involving supernatural things.
Yeah.
And then anime recommendations at the end.
Dope. Liddy.
But before we get started, guys, go check out our Patreon.
Yeah.
And our social medias and all of our fun stuff that we have on our channel. Please and thank you. And
thank you.
You're waifus.
Yes.
Be our senseis and senpais. And possibly kohais if you're on the tight budget.
So first off, who here, I'll go ahead and start us off with a couple of questions. Who here has ever had a supernatural experience? Raise your hand.
Jack, what the heck? Okay.
I was about to say I am supernatural, so every experience I have, okay, I was working my way up to it. It's a better question to ask me what things are normal in my life.
Accurate, very accurate.
Very.
If the sizzling's ever too loud,
well, I guess I should have. Well, okay. So I didn't know if I was like half asleep when this happened, so I don't know if it's a dream or it actually happened. So I don't know. I'll put my hand like halfway. So would anybody like to share? If not, that is okay. But Shelby, would you like to share?
Get him, Shelby. Tell me, Shelby.
I'm kind of true crimey as well.
Ooh.
So, in not my house right now, because this house is a new build, but it could still be haunted because it could be like built on
top of someone's grave.
Grounds. Actually, we joke that there's a ghost that cooks coffee because my stepmom wakes up in the morning and it smells like coffee in our house before anyone's ever made any. But that's not the story. So in my old house, I was really, really young. Like I moved to the house I live in now when I was like 7. But I always felt like something was like watching me. And so I would either like sleep in my brother's room because he had like bunk beds, or I would sleep in the living room, which was closer to like my dad's side and everything. So I always had this feeling that something was watching me. And then one time we would come home multiple times and the front door would be open and everything. And then once we moved out, I never saw anything. But once we moved out, me and my brother were talking about it. And somehow we got on the subject of ghosts and everything. And I was like, yeah, I just felt like something was always watching me. I never liked to be alone in the house. And he was like, no, I legit saw a ghost. There was like this woman that was just standing in the corner of my room all the time. And my dad was in the front seat and he was like, what? And my brother was like, yeah, there was this woman that just stands there and sometimes she would scream and everything. And then my dad was like, there was a murder in our house. Like a husband killed a wife in our house. And he got away with it too. And they didn't tell my dad. So my dad, because I think there's some type of law now that you have to like disclose everything now, but back then there wasn't. And so my dad, he had went up into the attic and there was this book that said how to kill your spouse and get away with it.
Oh.
And so he started like asking around because he heard that someone died in there. And they're like, yeah, we think he killed his wife in the backyard.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. My brother and I didn't know about that until my brother mentioned after we moved out. So
At least you can after you moved out.
Because of that experience, I truly do believe ghosts are a thing.
Fuck that.
I'm glad I don't hear it anymore.
Yeah, no,
I would
totally
not be
about
able
that.
to handle it.
That is an epic
Forget
story. Thank you
family
for sharing.
barbecue.
Yeah.
I'll go next.
Okay.
I would like to say this is a what's that word? Disclaimer. Weird shit happens to me all the time. I can go down the list. I have talked to dead family members I've never met before and been able to say their names after a dream. My mom's like, "Oh, that's your great great," and I'm like, "Oh, well, apparently they're doing fine." But the most one that I can say is like a haunting, but to me it's like everyday.
Wait, are we talking about hauntings? Or are we talking
We're
about
just talking about like
Supernatural
supernatural
Okay.
experiences.
So this is one where I'm just like, okay, this is probably outside of my control. First apartment, moved in with my ex, and I had a dream that it was haunted for some reason. And even when I signed the lease, I said, hey, because I'm weird, don't give me no haunted ass apartment. I literally said that to the leasing officer while leasing. So I go to my apartment. The door is, first apartment, so don't judge me. The door is beat up. It looks like someone's fist is in it. And so that was like a red flag. And I was like, okay. So I go in, months pass, my bed shakes, it bangs up against the board a lot, like up against the wall. So it's just like while I'm sleeping, never thought anything of it.
not okay?
The remote kept going 6666666
Ew.
on the TV. And we took the batteries out and it was still going 6666666.
Ooh, that's the worst.
And literally, I was just like, what's wrong with the remote?
There's a demon that has possessed
like, honestly, I was just like, what the fuck is wrong? And so then after that, there was a face in the mirror. And I saw it for 2 days, like eyes, nose, mouth, just like, and I was like, I don't want to seem like the crazy one. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to leave it up here until someone else tells me this looks like a face. Because I don't want to say, oh my God, it's a face. And then when they look at it, they're like, you're right, it looks like a face. So my ex came home and I was like, hey, there's a spot on the mirror. His lazy ass didn't clean anything. So that spot would have been on there for days. And I was like, hey, there's a spot on the mirror. Can you look at it? And he screams. He said, why the fuck did you leave this on here? He said, get rid of this. He said, what was that? And I was just like, what do you think it was? Because once again, I want confirmation.
Right.
And then I think I remember telling you guys how he would sleep and he told me someone was behind me. This was in that same apartment. And I think the nail on the head is I was taking pictures of him, just taking pictures. And there was this like regular, and then this big black gray blob was over his shoulder. Like literally picture after picture after picture. The next picture I took, gray thing, and then it was like there again, and then it wasn't. And come to find out, a girl had lived there. Her tile, she wasn't getting no deposit back. Let's just say that, because she switched the tile out in the bathroom. So her original like handiwork was still there. They said that her boyfriend had came over after killing his cousin, and came in her home. No one finished the rest of the story, but to say the police kicked out the door in, that's why the door is all beat up. So apparently this woman's boyfriend ex came over after killing his cousin, and no one wants to tell me what happened after he got in the house with her. But that literally all happened in a row. But the fact that I asked them not to give me a fucking haunted apartment and they did anyway, I was just like, I don't know if I'm part crazy or if they're assholes at this point. I can't prove it. But that's just like, I stayed there for 2 years.
She said, and then I stayed there for 2 whole years.
I mean, we had a theory that there was a good spirit and bad spirit there, and the good spirit was like keeping us safe, and the bad spirit was just like, but I'm so nonchalant and unbothered, honestly.
Yeah.
It's just like, get over yourself at this point. Like, I don't want to talk. Go find something else to do. So that's how I was, I'm not going to say raised, because my mother would not want me saying that, but I kind of grew up without a religion per se. Like my dad left me open while my mom's a Christian. So I was given free reign to kind of like find myself or to gravitate towards things.
Sure.
So to me, it was kind of like,
well,
I do this shit. It's kind of like that was my mindset. But that's mine. Poltergeist.
That's very scary.
Now, before we continue, we will take a short puppies and kittens break.
Puppies and kittens break.
And listen to My Neighbor Totoro.
That's great.
Oh my gosh.
Mana, I'm hungry now. I hope you're happy.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, it sounds like a music box.
Yeah,
That makes
it
me
sounds
happy.
really cute. That sounds really good.
Oh my God, my daughter had a worm that played music, and it was literally the same music from The Conjuring when they're doing the thing and he's looking in the mirror.
Nope. That's not okay. Y'all need to get it together.
I was scared.
Where the fuck? I need better lighting in this room. I am too brown for these games.
Okay, puppies and kittens break over. Okay. We all good? We all good?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Periodically we will take puppies and kittens breaks. Because I'm a scaredy cat. Oh no, where did she go?
She's getting better
I think
lighting.
she turned the light on
for this.
And Danielle, you've never had a spooky experience?
No, and I'll be the weird one and say I don't believe in ghosts.
Oh, okay.
And
I think you've mentioned that before.
I don't.
Yeah.
I just don't think like. Okay, so I will say I do think that like energy can kind of like absorb into a place because like I won't say exactly where it is because it's a little too close to my house, but there is a place that I live nearby that serial killings happened on. And I'll tell you guys after the podcast and you can look it up, but I just don't want randos knowing where I live. And so I do think that like energy can kind of like be absorbed into an area where it's like something doesn't feel good here, but like I don't think like an actual like ghost like apparition, like I just don't believe in any of that like personally, as like partly just because of like from my like religious views. I think you either go one place or the other. I don't think you're in the in between and like in the mortal world anymore. But I think demons are very real. Like I think that's a real thing. But like I kind of associate ghosts with the same thing of the like psychics and like that kind of like, you know, like, yeah, I think you kind of see what you want to see. But so I'll be the weird one and say, I think it's all a bunch of hooey.
You're not weird. You did
Well, it's like, y'all were like, who's had a supernatural experience? It's like everyone's hands go up and I'm just like, cool. Like,
if it makes you feel better
about it, like
makes you feel better, the less you are aware of it, the less you notice it. So if you don't really, if you just don't believe in it, then it's like that, what's that one thing about the key and the door and opening the door? Danielle's door is like pretty shut, so it probably doesn't bother you.
Sure, with whatever that metaphor was, but
it's a scary movie. Like,
but also like the energy, like you're talking about energy, the energy put out attracts the same energy. So I can.
Yeah, that makes sense.
If you're not open to accepting it, then I think you're less likely to see it.
Yeah.
I just like, I don't know. I think any of those like, you know, ghost hunter-y shows, I'm like,
those are fake. No, I hate those.
Yeah, those are
anything. I think that like, I don't know, anything where it's like, a door slammed or something. Like houses do weird crap all the time. And I guess I think it, you know, it's like, there are times when I'm like in my bed at night and our house like creaks really loud and there's a weird noise. And I'm like, oh, like something either kicked on or turned off. And so I guess I see it as like, yeah, if you want to think like, oh, there's a ghost in a closet and that's what's making the noise, then you can see that. But because I'm a little too like logical for that. And I'm like, oh, a box fell over or something. Like,
like for example, Danny, like when you say like, oh, there's an up and a down, like I feel like when like, especially when you say demons, like my perspective is like some evil people can become demons later on.
That's true.
Like, oh, just how bad you were can cause you to become like a demonic entity. And I feel like if you were human, and you are demonic, like I feel like you still have ties to this world as far as you still hold like the anger, the malice that comes with you being condemned there. That's just like, and I also believe that if you're pure soul, you can be angelic. Like when you go like, oh, for sure, such a good person that you can become an angel. Like kind of a thing. So I get it. That's why I was like, you know, cross references and stuff.
Yeah, it's all because I mean, like, there's just like biblically, there's a lot obviously about like demons and possession and stuff like that. But then there's also a lot of like angels and stuff too of like inhabiting earthly realms. So like I buy into that. And also I have gotten chills like 5 times and I'm not cold, and that kind of spooks me out.
That's your AC kicking on, Danny. Danny, that's your AC. Stop being so
kind of freaks me out just because I know, like, I'm not cold, but when we start talking about this, I'm like,
Danny, it's your guardian angel letting you know, yes, bitch, I'm on Earth.
Yeah. Yes, it's okay.
Like, yes.
Love it. So before we move on to the next portion, Mana, did you want to share or?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I guess 2 are kind of
clairvoyant. She sees a lot of
shit. There's like 1 that's more in the past and 2 that are kind of relative to now. I have a random text from the family dinner. So when I was younger, I could see auras, which I know sounds ridiculous, but my father, my mother was like kind of open, spiritual, like believe whatever you want. And my father was Islamic Muslim. He was Muslim. And so
did we go to the mosque? Were you a 5%er?
I do not remember. I went to the mosque a lot, though. My dad would drive me all the time.
Oh my God! We're my sisters. Keep going. Sorry.
That's fine. And he would live in Pennsylvania for a short amount of time, and that was when I was like at a very not a very young age, but where I could remember things. We did like training. We did this kind of like spiritual training for like days on end. And then I started to be able to see colors around people when I'd walk around. It was really wild. And I have very vivid memories of like, my father would be like, well, tell me all the colors. And I would tell him. And there's like really high pigmented colors. And it was very strange. So I lost that as I grew up, which is very unfortunate. I hope to get back to that energy realm one day. But of course, that is what happens when you are young and you are still not as tainted in the world,
like the world.
I actually wanted to go do it because there is a like business that does photographs, and then it photographs the aura around you of like the colors around you, but it was only like East Coast, West Coast. And I wanted to do that because I thought that sounded really cool. But continue.
Sure. Yeah. So that would happen to me. And it's still an ongoing thing from second thing. Like, I know I have sleep paralysis, but not always does it, because there's different elements of sleep paralysis. Sometimes you get visuals, like visual hallucinations or audio hallucinations or sensation hallucinations. I've only got all of them at the same time, few times, but there have been a lot of instances where I have heard people talking to me and I have felt things touching me. I was awoken last week by like something grabbing my ankle, like tugging me off my bed. And I woke up and I was like, oh, snap.
That's like childhood fear realized of like monster under the bed. Like,
but there was probably
blankets over my ankles at all times.
And it's hard being like spiritual and also like being watched, because it's like, I know I have sleep paralysis, but then it's like when I have my sleep paralysis episodes, it's like, okay, but also,
have you seen The Hag, Mana?
No, I haven't. I refuse to watch horror movies because I'm easily scared.
Mana, it's not a movie. It's not a movie. Have you seen like a hag? I've had the hag visit me. I don't like her.
I have not.
Apparently, when you have sleep paralysis, they're called like sleep demons as well.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Yeah.
Yeah, the old woman like sits on your chest.
Guys, we can't talk too detail into it, or else it's going to manifest. We can't
talk I've seen her.
Just listen to what I say.
She didn't sit on my chest. Like, she took her skin off for me. And when someone says, "Oh, I'm like, I've seen that same woman."
No, stop. I have I'm cutting you off.
Puppies, kittens, rainbows, sunshine.
Tell me the details. I have a very big amount.
To me, I'm just asking.
No, just no.
Okay. Look at your ice cream cone shirt, and you'll feel better.
I live in darkness. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're so cute. So now that we've talked, you didn't finish.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
sorry.
There was just one more. So there's like my sleep paralysis and things like that, and the confusion with that. But then there's also every time I not even close my eyes, but once it gets dark, I see white orbs, like literally it happens I don't know if it's like because of my eyesight, maybe it might be my glasses because of astigmatism, I don't know, but even in the dark, I'll see white orbs float like I'm so not even kidding, like they're like right here in the corner and they float across and I'll look at them and they're gone, but I see them like at least every single night. I see those white orbs floating about, which I think is probably a positive sign, but still, I've had a lot of light.
Take pictures?
Yeah, they don't like it when you take pictures. Oh, really? You ain't supposed to record or take pictures.
I don't have a lot of negative, dark, spiritual experiences. Most of mine are light, but there's sleep paralysis. That's a whole different thing, but we don't talk about them. Although sometimes I'm like, is this a sleep demon or is it a sleep succubus? Because sometimes things get real weird, but we don't talk about that.
They do.
Stop. Okay, I'm done.
On Corner Soup, when things got real weird, he's some of the succubus. It was dope.
Go ahead. Now he went to the succubus cafe.
Yes.
That was funny. Yeah.
In one of our animes, there's a succubus cafe, and for a bit of your vitality, you could pick your succubus to come in your dreams and do whatever you want to do.
Yeah. Oh, geez.
And you can pick them like, hey, I want her to look like that, this, that, and they'll come up showing up. Or a piece of your soul, of course, but I mean,
sleep demons too.
It's a give or take.
Just for the simple cost of your soul.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, there are lots of different types of, spirits and devils and demons and monsters. And in Japanese, they have some words that are, so we can kind of use those words interchangeably in English, but in Japanese, they have more like of a distinct meaning to them. So there's going to be a little bit of vocabulary coming your way. An oni. So an oni is roughly translated to demon, and it's more like an ogre, and they're pretty giant. They have great strength and a fearful appearance. Sometimes there's like an idea that was kind of introduced that they are that it's like has to do with Buddhism, where they are creatures that cannot be converted to Buddhism or can't be like purified with Buddhism. So those are oni. The next one is akuma. Akuma are devils. So oni are more like ogres and monsters. Right. Akuma are more like devils from like the Christian kind of Satan idea. From hell or from that, a dark place that has lots of fire, and they typically carry swords, have some kind of fire around them. But so that's the difference between a demon and a devil in Japanese folklore. A couple more. Yokai.
I was going to ask if you were going to talk about yokai just because of Yokai Watch.
So yokai are more like supernatural monsters and spirits in Japanese folklore. So it's a very, it has like a kanji for it, like the actual like characters for it mean bewitching and mystery. So like something that is mysterious, but also like can draw you in and then make you question, like, is this real? Yokai range from malevolent to mischievous. Sometimes they bring good fortune to those that encounter them. And then under that tier of yokai are bakemono. Bakemono is more like like ghosts, but they're more like fox spirits and like cat spirits and things like that.
Oh, so they're more like, I got you.
And then the last one that Shelby, I think you'll know this one, and anybody who's seen Pacific Rim will know this one, but kaiju. Kaiju are monsters that are featured in films most of the time, but they're like big, gigantic monsters.
Gojira!
So the kaiju are... the term kaiju comes from like the Chinese ancient texts, so that word is like a foreign word, but it is used for like large monsters that are featured in films.
Okay.
So there is Oni, Akuma, Yokai / Bakemono, and Kaiju.
Nice.
And of course there are other ones like human spirits, Yure, and like then specific like kamis, which are gods that are like nature gods and things like that.
What are the ones called in Death Note?
Oh, like Shinigami.
Shinigami, right.
Shinigami.
So they would be Shini is death, and then Kami is God. But then because it's set together, the K becomes a G. So Shinigami.
I don't know if it's like a well-known thing in Japan, but I also have experience with in an anime or two, mushi, or they call them. Yeah, they're like kind of like almost like really, really small microscopic like organisms that are kind of like in weird wiggle shapes, and they're like really like kind of like almost things you can see kids draw randomly, and they're like the smallest organism of what spirits are made up of. There's an anime on it called Mushishi. You guys should watch it. It's
I've heard
it's really nice.
It's very good. The soundtrack is great. The art is great. Each episode is a different story of this guy.
Can we just point out that Danny's wearing a ghost shirt right now?
Yeah, that's why I wore it today.
Yes, the ghost CD's lifted.
Because we were talking about spookums.
Oh, I should have worn something spooky. Dang it. I'm wearing words, actually. Never mind. So
our next topic is going to be urban legends from Japan. And I have two urban legends, but yes, Mana?
Because I know you said something about like devils coming from hell and stuff. Do you think hell would make more sense to be a burning hot place or a very cold and desolate, empty place?
I think it could be both.
I've
Don't
seen
they
it
say that the
interpreted
devil
both
is
ways.
like in the deepest pits of hell that is actually frozen because it's so cold or hot?
I don't know. Like, because funnily enough, my quarantine project has been reading the New Testament, and so I just got done with Revelation in the middle of October, and I'm like, that's fitting since it's all like crazy things, but like at least like the Western like typical like Anglo-Christian interpretation is like it's like the hellfire and brimstone of like burning and like a fire and levels of things, kind of like Dante's Inferno-esque. But I have seen like, because even in like Death Note, like where the Shinigami are, it's very just like desolate and there's nothing there. So I think like there's interpretations and arguments for both.
I think it makes more sense to be a cold place because I feel like a lot of spiritual like movies, and it's like, oh, it got cold in here all of a sudden type stuff. So I feel like I associate that more with like empty, desolate, dark, cold.
Yeah.
I think the reason why like fire is such a connotation is because it gets like correlated with suffering, and it's like, obviously like hypothermia is a thing, but it's very much the like burning, for the eternity. Of like, the suffering of that versus coldness. So
I mean, ice can be so cold that it burns you too.
True.
Oh, God.
That's
I
very
fucking
true.
hate that. Oh God, I felt it.
Yeah, like when you get hit in the
like,
face with a snowball and then like your face starts burning and you're like, why is my body doing this to me? Like
like going with Danny said, like the Dante Inferno, they said the guy. I'm not.
Oh, Jack's the host now. Oh, hold on.
So let's learn about demonology with Jack. But they say that Lucifer, I hate his name, is held in the lowest pit because it's also the coldest. So you go from burning to that cold pit part. So to me, they're one and the same. It's like you're gonna get hot and then you're gonna get so hot that
they're both supposed to be painful. So I would say,
if everyone had to choose, would you die in a hot environment or a cold environment?
Hot, because it would be faster.
Really? I feel like with cold you get numb at some point. Although I would say hot just because I fucking hate the cold.
I would pick cold just because, like, a lot of times with stuff like that, you just kind of like go to sleep because you lose oxygen. And so, because funnily enough, oh shoot, what was that show called with Jennifer Love Hewitt? And she like escorted
Ghost Whisperer.
Yes, Ghost Whisperer. I used to watch that when that was popular. But there was one where like there was a plane crash and they were losing oxygen and it got really, really cold. And so basically all you do is like you go to sleep. And so I think that sounds way better than like seeing my flesh melt off of me. But you know, that's just me. Sure. Like,
I mean, either way, you could pass out from the pain. I
just think you would be more conscious of the pain.
I think so. Plus you choke on your own oxygen because you have no water. So you choke on your own spit and there'd just be no liquid left in your body. So I guess you're kind of choking.
Well, and so, and I guess it kind of depends because if there's enough smoke, like a lot of people in fires die of smoke inhalation, not like burning, actual like burning. So, but that's a really depressing topic.
Oops, sorry guys.
No, Mana, I think like this all the time. These are questions I ask myself, and I'm just sitting here like, no, I've already answered. I will be frozen because there might be a chance I'll be frozen alive, and I could be unthawed, and maybe my heart stopped back up. I'm going with the most one I could survive. Like buzzards are gonna eat my ass, lizards are gonna eat my ass. I'm gonna be burned to the crib. If my body is still there in frozen perfect condition, maybe my ass will be on display somewhere and I'll come back.
That's funny. You're funny.
Where is Annie?
I know, where did poor Annie go? I wonder if her internet crapped out on her.
Rachel, come back.
Oh my god. Annie, where are you? After watching anime, there's only a few. I'm good in Greek mythology, Egyptian mythology, a little bit of Celtic, a little bit of Christian. So, but anime mythology, anime. Sorry, so disrespectful. Japanese mythology, the one thing that I've seen always keeps coming up is the Demon King. And like, there's different versions of him, but he's always this big form of evil. I don't know if he's their take on the devil, but I've seen different parts where he's just the symbolism of change in the corrupt society. And then there's times where he's just the ruler of the land and he's just consuming everything. But there is literally a YouTube anime that you could just go into YouTube and watch season by season called Demon King. And it loses you a little bit, but the concept of him destroying everything was basically like the system's broken, so I have to destroy it in order for it to get better. So you're demonizing him for really changing a corrupt system, so therefore he looks corrupt.
That's very interesting. Like,
yeah, it's kind of like you're tearing down society. He's like, yeah, but you're evil people, and they're like, true, but no one else knows that but you. So then there's that, and then there's like the fox spirits.
Oh,
Inuyasha for that.
No, Inuyasha is not a fox spirit. He's a dog spirit.
I said Shippo.
Oh, okay. I heard
Damn it.
Yeah, my bad. I'm sorry.
In Inuyasha, you learn about different demons. Like there's the demons where, like the woman that was so sad from childbirth, or there's like a spirit that comes out of the dirt because so much war happened and lost men and soldiers who died in the forest. Their spirits basically combined and become an entity of the forest. So there's that concept of urban legends just from it coming from a place of, like Danny, like you said, like, oh, there's energy here somewhere, like something bad happened. So I've seen that reoccurrence where something bad happens and it's like, oh, all that energy is now manifested into a being whose power or essence is from that feeling. So I've seen that a lot of times in Japanese mythology. Anyone else? Who's next for Japanese urban legends that they know of?
I really honestly don't think I know any.
I don't know if The Grudge is one. I don't think maybe she is. I'm not sure.
That's not a Japanese
story. Yeah, because there's a lot of Japanese horror that kind of got adopted into American horror, because I think The Ring that originally was a Japanese
was based off of
and then got transported over here. And
I'm saging the house tonight. This conversation.
There's a lot of that.
Oh, Mana, we should have a sage party.
Oh, and sound cleansing. I will bring my bells in my bowl.
Please bring your bowl. I have my pendulum. Do you have a pendulum?
I do. I made it. I made my own pendulum.
Yes. Sorry, Danny, I do not. Damn it. This is the wrong type of podcast.
No, you're fine.
I do not use my.
I don't have a whole lot to contribute, but that is really funny though that you were saying how in that show you were watching, it was very kind of a society's gotten so terrible that I have to restart it, because I can give some slight historical context for that, because it's really interesting, because that's a lot of times what happened in the Old Testament, except that's what God was doing, not what the evil spirits were doing. So that's super interesting, because I mean, if you think of again, if you believe in any of that, but Noah's Ark and Sodom and Gomorrah, it's very society has gotten so corrupt and terrible that I have to cleanse the earth. So yeah, I mean, it is flood the earth and rain fire down. And
I read somewhere that Adam and Eve, I don't even know if this is true, but apparently because Eve ate the apple and stuff, but someone, I can't remember where, but Lucifer, God made Adam and Eve, and Lucifer was in love, I believe, with Lilith. And then Lilith, I can't remember how she died, but she died, and God made Eve in the same likeness as Lilith, and the snake that tempted Eve to eat the apple was actually Lucifer in disguise tempting her to eat the apple, because he was in love with Eve, because God made Eve look just like Lilith. And apparently the apple is not just a fucking apple. It actually is just they had intercourse. Is that really a thing? Was the apple not just an apple?
Interpretation.
No, not from my
interpretation.
Yeah, there's a lot. And again, I'm not claiming to be any expert, but the traditional, what I have been taught, and what a lot of my pastors and stuff have taught me, is that it's it was a tree. A lot of people think it was a pomegranate, not an apple. But it's they were
Greek.
But they were in the Garden of Eden. But yes, Satan was the serpent who tempted Eve, and that's and she ate it because God's you can have anything in the Garden of Eden except from this tree. And then Lucifer was don't you want to be like God and have all of the knowledge that God has? So you should eat this. And so she did, and then she offered it to Adam. And Adam was this is cool. But then it's they realized that they were naked, and they became and so they acquired shame,
Annie!
All of that kind of stuff. Annie's back.
Yay.
But yeah, but that's also why women have to suffer through childbirth as Eve. And
that's why life is suffering.
Great things. And yeah, thank you.
Yeah. For my interpretation of it, it was literally that, but I guess the way it was more delivered towards me, because it was given to me on the opposite side of the coin, because I've never read the book all the way. I'm just be honest.
Sure.
I'm not a pro.
I haven't either. I'm working through the Old Testament, and
Lord,
it's a slog.
Oh, sorry, that was so disrespectful. I'm
no, it's just because and I know if it does, it feels really bad to say, but so much of the Old Testament is here's 2 chapters of family lineage. Here is 2 chapters on how to build a church or a temple or whatever. Here's 4 chapters on every sacrifice that you need to do when you sin. And I'm I'm not bringing unblemished lambs to an altar. This doesn't have practical application in my life.
Honey, you can't do voodoo then, child.
No.
But for my interpretation of it was that the apple represented knowledge. The serpent or Lucifer was basically God's trying to keep you from knowledge. Yep. Don't you want to know what's going on around you? Eve thus then eats the apple, and then thus become aware they cannot stay. Now, from Lilith's point of view, I guess she was made for Adam. She did not want to be submissive, blah, 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 get the hell out. And somehow or some forth or something like that happened. I don't know. But the moral of the story that I took from it was, because someone said that God had told them you would die if you ate the apple. Like, don't eat this apple, you will die. And the fact I think the snake was trying to say God is a liar because you didn't
it's like,
die.
You're not gonna die. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the moral I took
death.
from it, that God said you would die if you eat this apple.
Yeah.
But you didn't die, and you learned that you was naked.
It's a
on.
metaphorical
Maybe it was just
death.
ego death.
Yeah, well, I
Something,
mean,
I
because
don't
it's
know.
like, it's like if we're getting into that, it's like, spiritual death and things. So
True.
it's like, yes,
Your death of innocence,
not
your
literal
death
death,
of being ignorant.
but-
That's where I'm like, it depends with mythology, what you want to take from it. Like, there's symbolism, there's spiritualism, there's actual, like, if you want to think they're actual accounts and events, like, it honestly depends on what you're getting out of it, that I think makes the difference of how you perceive it.
Yeah. Well, that's what's so
like
crazy.
if you think someone like I tell people all the time, I'm like, so in the Bible, Mary was how old when she got pregnant?
Wait,
well, that was back in the old days.
But wait, how old was she?
I'm pretty sure God knew getting a 14 or 12
how old was
pregnant
she?
Like,
was
I don't
still bad.
think she was that. She was probably a teenager.
Yeah, she was premature.
I mean, technically, she was with Joseph.
Are we ready?
Oh yeah, sorry.
This is all related to. We were talking about.
Were you guys talking about urban legends?
Yes, and then we couldn't think of any more, so we got onto what we kind of knew.
Okay.
That's okay.
It says 12 to 14 years old is how old that she probably was. But again, it's like,
never mind. I'm not
how
going
are
to
we ever
California
going to know
right
something
now.
like that?
We're not going to talk about California right now.
Yeah, we're not.
Yes, Annie, bring us back.
Annie's back, everyone.
Which urban legends did you guys mention?
Oh, I don't remember.
Jack was talking about
Demon King.
Yeah.
Okay, so like American urban legends, for example, are Bloody Mary, where you go into the bathroom.
Oh, yeah, Bloody Mary.
I've done that before.
And you, like, flicker the lights and you say Red Rum.
Oh, I didn't.
That's my bad. That's my bad. I literally kept this in Japanese. I did not let nothing go anywhere.
Yeah, I meant like, what urban legends have you guys ever heard
When
of?
you say urban legend, I'm like Loch Ness Monster.
Yes, exactly.
Sasquatch. Like not like scary things, but just like
Mothman.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
No, we don't talk about that. That's why
that is real.
Horror. We don't talk about it.
Fine.
I can't handle horror because we cannot chainsaw. That was the start of it all for me when I was like 7, and it's done now.
That is too young to be watching a movie like that.
Yes.
Shelby, are you a big Supernatural fan? The TV show?
Yes.
I've actually never watched it.
It's
I've
good.
never watched it.
No.
It's good. I haven't seen all the
It's
first season.
interesting. I would pick you as someone that would watch it.
I feel like it's a very big commitment for me to
It
start
is.
watching it now.
Shelby, watch Evil on Netflix. Watch Evil. Danny, you watch Evil too. Because it's a
yes, ma'am.
Yes, it's a psychiatrist working with a priest, and they're trying to debunk demon possessions based off of human mental disorders. So the psychiatrist is working to prove the cases are actually like schizophrenia and bipolarism, where the priest is like, no, this is
like a
yes, but he hires her and he pays her, and he's like, I don't care if you believe, because I need you for to debunk this. So they work together with all these streams of many mystery murder mysteries. Watch Evil on Netflix.
I've seen one episode because a person that I went to school with is like an extra in there. So
that's funny.
That's fancy.
I wish I had an extra friend.
Well, the first season of Supernatural deals with urban legends, and specifically like United States of America urban legends. And so they have like burial grounds for like indigenous peoples, and how like condominiums are like being built on them, and then like the nature spirits come. And then they also have one that is like if you go to like the kissing spot, then like and you like flicker your lights a couple of times, then like a certain spirit comes that's like a werewolf and snatches you out of your car.
Who was that?
I don't know why any idiot. I don't know why anyone fucks with any of this spiritual shit. Why would you invite these things even if they aren't real? Why would you even hint the
Mana,
energy.
I'm gonna ask you this one question. This is gonna determine if we gonna stay friends. Have you played with a Ouija board?
I do not play with a Ouija board. I never have.
Thank you.
But listen, you Missy, you have a pendulum. A pendulum is almost not. It's not the same as a Ouija board. But guess what? You still can control what spirit's controlling your pendulum.
Yes, you can.
Well, you can, but it's more direct than the Ouija board. But
I know that's why you got to be more direct when you use it. I don't use mine
anymore. It's on my altar, but I do not use it because it dabbles in the same.
I literally pray over mine. I say what can come in, what cannot come in, who I want to talk to. Don't bring your ass in here.
No, I don't talk with Ouija boards.
I am very specific. I do not play that shit. Oh, and you ask Hey, sorry, Annie, I'm listening. If you're anyone out there and you don't know what the fuck you doing, ask. They are not allowed to lie. You ask, are you a good spirit or are you a bad spirit? They have to say yes or no.
Okay.
So if it says no, I'm a bad spirit, hang up the fucking phone. You don't continue to ask questions. Okay? You can ask. Are you good or bad? I am bad. I wonder who they are. No, stop that shit. Hang up the fucking phone. Stop. That's just a tip. You can add. Go ahead.
So Japanese urban legends, there are two that I picked out. One of them is kind of like Bloody Mary, where it's like a school, kind of like elementary school game kind of thing that originated in schools, and that's Hanako-san. Sorry. So it is about a young girl who haunts school bathrooms.
Sounds like Moaning
Myrtle.
Oh,
but she asks you a question like, what do you like, blue or red? Like, which is your favorite color? And then like, if you answer a different color, then you're safe. But if you answer red, then like she dumps blood on you. And if you answer blue, then like you freeze to death. Like you get really cold and like your lips turn blue. So if you ever hear somebody ask you that in a bathroom
in Japan,
say yellow.
Like, screw that. Yeah.
Dude, what is that? Piss? You say yellow and she dumps piss?
I hope not. And then
that
the other
also
one
makes me think of the like the bridge guardian in Monty Python, like the Holy Grail. He's like, "What is your favorite color?" And if you lie, then you get thrown off the bridge.
Like, why would you lie about your favorite color?
Have you never seen Monty Python and the Holy Grail? Oh, that's a
it's really it's a cult classic.
Cults.
But the other one is Kuchisake Onna, and that translates to slit mouth woman.
Nope.
And so in Japan and in a lot of East Asian countries, they wear masks just as a daily thing. And so there's a woman that like, if you take off her mask, or if like she reveals the mask, then she has like the Joker kind of thing. And she reveals it to you by saying, "Do you think I'm attractive?" And she just looks like a normal woman with a face mask. And if you say, you know, like, yes, then she'll show you the mouth and then be like, psych. And if you say no, then she'll eat you. So either way, it's pretty bad.
No-win situation.
I would have been like, I'm married. Okay. I can't
answer that.
I need to go home.
Ring, ring.
There's more to a woman than just her looks. Like,
I mean, look at the mouth then, because I'm not looking at that shit.
So we do have about 15 minutes left. So rather than do both of the things, I'll give you guys a choice. So there is Yuki Onna, the story of the Snow Woman.
Oh, yes.
Japanese legend. It's a pretty popular folklore. And it's a little creepy, but not too creepy. I think, Jack, you would really enjoy this one because it has to do with like art.
Yes.
Or we can play the game Shiri Tori, which is a Japanese word connecting game, where you say like peach, then take the H at the end of the word and create a new word. Hat.
Travel.
Yeah, and then T for hat, tomato. O for the next one, orange. and then you keep connecting it and connecting it. And Shiritori is one of the games that you play whenever you're walking home alone. And like you play and then you like call out to the spirits to like, you know, like, so you're walking with somebody and talking with them. And then by the time the game is over, then you're home safe.
I don't trust that either. I
don't trust that one.
Yeah,
let's do that one. I want to hear the story. I ain't doing that one. I'm sorry.
Okay. So would you guys like to hear the Yuki Onna story, or would you like to play the game?
We can do a story.
All scary stories start with, do you want to play a game?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Would you like to play a game?
So shout out to Hearn, I believe his last name is Lafcadio Hearn. They put together this book that I picked up at my university way back in the day, and it's called Kwaidan, and it says Japanese ghost stories. It is a really great compilation because it contains art, like Japanese block print art, so it's very traditional art. But this is the story of the Yuki Onna.
Story time with Annie. Story time with Annie. Story time with Kaicho.
All right, let me get some spooky music real quick. Because we have to have theme music.
Oh, also, if you guys want to see more American urban legends, just go on YouTube and type in 3 a.m. challenges. And there are there's one where they summon a demon and you can write messages. The door has to be closed.
Why would I have to do that?
And then the demon slides the paper back out with answers.
I have no idea what a demon wants to do.
There's one where they drive down a road and apparently you're supposed to like keep driving past a certain time and like you can't stop because the spirits will be knocking on. Like these guys try everything and it's more for entertainment, but a part of me is like, y'all are still like, there's always a little bit of truth in mysticism to me, and I'm like, please don't be opening doors y'all really don't want to go through for likes and views. Please
don't even do that. It's not worth it. It's not worth it.
I mean, unless you're going to sell your soul to join the Illuminati or whatever cult organization, Freemasonry you want to, then yeah, sure, be independent, sell your soul in your own time. But if you don't want to do that, please don't do that. Go ahead.
Can you guys hear the music?
Yes.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Is that good?
Yep.
Okay. In a village of Musashi province, there lived two woodcutters, Mosaku and Monokichi. At the time of which I am speaking, Mosaku was an old man, and Monokichi, his apprentice, was a lad of 18 years. Every day they went together to a forest situated about 5 miles from their village. On the way to that forest, there is a wide river to cross, and there is a ferry boat. Several times a bridge was built where the ferry is, but each time the bridge was carried away by a flood. No common bridge can resist the current there where the river rises. So that's kind of the intro.
I love this.
Mosaku and Monokichi were on their way home one cold evening when a great snowstorm overtook them. They had reached the ferry and they found that the boatman had gone away, leaving his boat on the other side of the river. It was no day for swimming, and the woodcutters took shelter in the ferryman's hut, thinking themselves lucky to find any shelter at all. There was no brazier in the hut, nor any place to which to make a fire. It was only a 2-mat hut with a single door and no window. Mosaku and Monokichi fastened the door and lay down to rest with their straw raincoats over them. At first, they did not feel very cold, and they thought the storm would soon be over. The old man almost immediately fell asleep, but the boy, Monokichi, laid awake a long time, listening to the awful wind and the continual slashing of the snow against the door. The river was roaring, and the hut swayed and creaked like a junk at sea. It was a terrible storm, and the air was every moment becoming colder and colder. Monokichi shivered under his raincoat, but at last, in spite of the cold, he too fell asleep. He was awakened by a showering of snow in his face. The door of the hut had been forced open, and by the snow light, he saw a woman in the room, a woman all in white. She was bending above Mosaku and blowing her breath upon him, and her breath was like a bright white smoke. Almost in the same moment, she turned to Monokichi and stooped over him. He tried to cry out, but found he could not utter any sound. The white woman bent down over him, lower and lower, until her face almost touched him. And he saw that she was very beautiful, though her eyes made him afraid. For a little time, she continued to look at him. Then she smiled and whispered, "I intended to treat you like the other man, but I cannot help but feeling some pity for you because you are so young. You are a pretty boy, Monokichi, and I will not hurt you now. But
now,
if you tell anybody, even your own mother, about what you have seen this night, I shall know it, and then I will kill you. Yikes. Remember what I say."
Yandere.
With these words, she turned from him and passed through the doorway. Then he found himself able to move, and he sprang up and looked out, but the woman was nowhere to be seen, and the snow was driving furiously into the hut. Minokichi closed the door and secured it by fixing several billets of wood against it. He figured if the wind had blown it open, he had thought that he might have only been dreaming, but he could not be sure. He called to Mosaku and was frightened because the old man did not answer. He put out his hand in the dark and touched Mosaku's face and found that it was ice. Mosaku was stark and...
Oh no!
What happened?
Okay.
Annie, say it again. You froze. We was all like, what? What did he say?
Oh, she froze again.
Oh, she rose again. Oh my gosh.
Wait.
It's like the climactic moment of the story.
It's like right at the best part.
God damn it.
Oh no.
I was so in tune. The music just lulled me right into it.
I know, the music was really like...
Annie,
did it work?
Okay, there you go. You're back.
Yeah. All right, what was the sentence I left on?
We heard he was like, he said, and then it just like cut off after he
it was
found his
he touched
head.
the face with
his
the ice.
face was ice. Yeah.
Oh, yes. So his face was ice. Mosaku was dead.
Okay, there we go.
And then there's a creepy picture.
Ooh, you kind of cute, ooh.
By dawn, the storm was over, and when the ferryman returned to his station a little after sunrise, he found Minokichi lying senseless beside the frozen body of Mosaku. Minokichi was promptly cared for and soon came to himself, but remained a long time ill from the effects of the cold of that terrible night.
Yikes.
He'd been greatly frightened also by the old man's death, but he had said nothing about the vision of the woman in white. As soon as he got well again, he returned to his calling, going alone every morning to the forest and coming back at nightfall with his bundles of wood, which his mother helped him to sell.
Aww.
One evening in the winter of the following year, he was on his way home. He saw a girl who happened to be traveling by the same road. She was tall, slim, and very good looking. And she answered Minokichi's greeting in a voice pleasant to the ear as the voice of a songbird. Then he walked beside her and they began to talk. The girl said that her name was Yuki, which in Japanese,
no.
Yuki means
No.
no.
Yeah. I was like, I wonder who this girl is. Like,
And she had lately lost both of her parents, and she was going to Yedo, the town, where she happened to have some poor relations who might help her find a situation as a servant. Minokichi soon felt charmed by this strange girl, and the more that he looked at her, the handsomer she appeared to be. He asked her whether she was yet betrothed, and she answered laughingly that she was free. Then, in her turn, she asked Minokichi whether he was married. And he told her that although he had only a widowed mother to support, the question of an honorable daughter-in-law had not yet been considered, as he was very young. After these confidences, they walked on for a long while without speaking. But as the proverb declares, when the wish is there, the eyes can say as much as the mouth. By the time they reached the village, they had become much pleased with each other. And then Minokichi asked Yuki to rest a while at his house. After some shy hesitation, she went there with him, and his mother made her welcome and prepared a warm meal for her. Yuki behaved so nicely that Minokichi's mother took a sudden fancy to her and persuaded her to delay her journey to Yedo. At the natural end of the matter was that Yuki never went to Yedo at all. She remained in the house as an honorable daughter-in-law. Yuki proved a very good daughter-in-law. When Minokichi's mother came to die some 5 years later, her last words were words of affection and praise for the wife of her son. And Yuki bore Minokichi 10 children.
Oh,
girls,
that's like my dad.
Children, all of them, and very fair skin. The country folk thought Yuki was a wonderful person, by nature different than themselves. Most of the peasant women age early, but Yuki, even after becoming the mother of 10 children, looked as young and fresh as on the day when she had first come to the village.
Back.
Adrenochrome.
Strong. Go ahead.
One night, after the children had gone to sleep, Yuki was sewing by the light of a paper lamp, and Minokichi, watching her, said, "To see you sewing there with the light on your face makes me think of a strange thing that happened when I was
I knew it.
Say nothing.
I then saw somebody as beautiful and white as you are now. Indeed, she was very like you."
Oh, you poor idiot.
You poor soul.
Without lifting her eyes from her work, Yuki responded, "Tell me about her.
Oh my God.
Then Minokichi told her about the terrible night in the ferryman's hut.
Oh my fucking
About the
God.
white woman that had stooped above him, smiling and whispering, and about the silent death of old Musaku.
Boy.
And he said, "Asleep or awake, that was the only time I saw a being as beautiful as you are."
He hasn't connected the dots yet.
This
No.
dumbass.
Of
He's gonna
course,
die.
she was
He's gonna
not
die.
a human being, and I was afraid of her, very much afraid, but she was so white. Indeed, I have never been sure whether it was a dream that I saw or the woman of the snow.
Oh my God.
Yuki flung down her sewing and arose, bowed above Minokichi where he sat, and shrieked in his face. "It was I, Yuki it was, and I told you then that I would kill you if you ever said one word about it."
You're being
You
petty.
asked him to.
I'm
You
telling
lured him.
you.
Okay.
But for those children asleep in the other room, I would kill you this moment. And now you have better take very, very good care of them. For if they ever have a reason to complain of you, I will treat you as you deserve.
Ooh.
Even as she screamed, her voice became thin like the crying of a wind. She melted into a bright white mist that spired to the roof beams and shuddered through the smoke hold. Never again was she seen.
She left him with 10 babies.
Rude.
She did.
So she left with him.
So
Fuck
she
them.
spared his life
Right.
because they had children together. But if the children were ever unhappy, she would come back and kill him.
Murder.
I mean, he's
him,
got 10
Why
of
don't
them.
you
They're-
stay?
one
I'm
of them's
pretty
gonna
sure
be
10
unhappy.
goddamn kids are gonna realize they mama not home. Why the fuck did you stay?
Yeah, so your mom like turned into a vapor and left.
He went to go get some milk.
Y'all might be half vapor now. Y'all might
Oh
be
my
fucking
gosh.
part of what she is. Let me see. Let me test y'all. Make this a snowflake.
Make this a snowflake. Use your snowflake.
One of them.
Gosh.
But yeah,
Oh.
like as soon as she said that her name was Yuki, when I read the story, I was like,
It was like,
God.
Oh, that's
yeah.
oh God.
No.
That's her.
And like I wouldn't have said nothing.
Yeah.
So once
she-
again, that was Kwaidan, Japanese ghost stories by Lefadio Hearn, and I highly recommend it. Closing out, I'm glad you guys enjoyed the story and were enthralled.
Yeah.
Yuki
I love
Onna
story time.
and the Legend of Momotaro are like two staples of like Japanese folklore that like everybody knows.
I've heard of that
Um,
one.
Momotaro is like a big epic legend where like this child comes and he goes on an adventure with compatriots and then like slays the Demon King and things like that. So I highly recommend it.
Demon King. I knew there was a goddamn Demon King.
It all circled back.
So before we head out, thank you guys so much for watching our podcast and listening to all of our spooky stories. I hope you guys have a great Halloween and the rest of the spooky season. Please watch our other podcasts and the Code Geass team and the Konosuba team, and hopefully we will be getting together soon. Maybe
don't give them no
don't do that.
Tell COVID to chill out and then we'll happily get back together, but we have zero control.
We are.
A couple of anime that I personally recommend that are supernatural and spooky are Holic.
Yes.
That has a lot of traditional Japanese urban legends and folklore. Mushishi, which Mana mentioned. Also, I would say for a more modern supernatural thing, Vampire Knight deals with
No. What? You are not
read the manga, don't watch the anime.
Okay.
You can watch the anime too. The opening and ending theme songs are pretty good.
I love Kanon Wakashima now because she's great.
Kanon Wakashima, she's so great.
I'm gonna watch Inuyasha.
And then also Ghost Hunt is also very cool for like a more modern take on ghost hunting. I believe we've mentioned that one before, but it's pretty good. It has like one-shot standalone episodes. Sometimes they arc over 2 episodes, but it's pretty short and easy to follow. And if anybody else has any like supernatural recommendations, be it anime or movies, like horror movies, this would be the time.
I would suggest Berserk again. I know but only because if you read the manga or even if you go on YouTube and you put like things you never heard about Berserk, they literally categorize the demons in there and give you the backstory. So this one became a demon because he literally ate his wife and children. Like every demon you see in that series has a backstory that's honestly too much for the arc. So either read the manga or go on YouTube and put like Demons of Berserk and learn all about them because they are some sick bastards.
Awesome. Anybody else?
You like this?
I would actually honestly say the first arc of Sailor Moon has a lot of weird, like, because when you guys were talking about pendulums, that made me think of it. One of the villains uses it to play chess and it tells her where to move the pieces. And in like the very beginning, they talk about this bus that's supposed to be haunted and like kids go missing on it and they call it a hell heist because it's like, you know, it's at the end of the line and then all of a sudden these kids are missing. And so like, especially everything with like Queen Beryl and like all of her underlings, it's very like underworldy. And so there's a lot of like light kind of like scary stuff in it of like, ooh, this is just kind of like interesting, like trope wise and stuff. So check it out. It's a classic.
And Inuyasha. Inuyasha is a classic. Little angel.
Anybody else have any last minute recommendations?
Don't play
Anything
games.
can be a pendulum. It doesn't have to be a rock. Anything can be a pendulum. All I gotta do is swing.
Don't fucking play games with demons, guys. It's
No.
not funny.
Please don't. We will not save you.
Yeah.
We will not save you.
Don't be in the comments. I tried it, and I'll be like, I told you not to. Mana told you not to. Danny said, don't come over here. Annie's scared, and Shelby's like, you bought it, you caught it. So
You bought it, you got it.
Amazing.
All right. Well, if you guys, what are we doing next week?
That's Mana.
That's Mana with Magical Girls, right?
Yeah.
Yes, Maho Shoujo Magical Girl stuff. It's me, moi, your favorite. Not really, but yes. Stay tuned for that next week. It's gonna be some good shit. Annie will have much input on that. Hopefully. Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for watching, and let's go ahead and
We plugged it at the beginning.
Oh, we did. Yep, you're right. Okay.
Yeah. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the things, and see you next time.
Bye, guys.
bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.